Chapter 26, Order Restored. Nikau paced before the shaft of light, trying to determine his next move. "I will not be contained like a prisoner," he muttered. "I have already escaped once, I am sure I will again." As he turned away to continue pacing, an intense heat covered his body as he became brighter. "Or must be near." Nikau whipped back around. "I know you are there, Or." A door instantly materialized within the shaft of light. Shatar and Nagad met Uriel under the portico of the Elenthial Hall. Their interest had been piqued by the Malik's report, and they could no longer wait to find out what was going on. They saw Or stroll up to the portico with a light step and a smile on his face. He was deep in thought over the recent events with Pelos and his wife. The three bowed as he arrived on the bottom step. "We are here to serve you," Shatar said as he remained on a bent knee. Or shook off his preoccupation and greeted them. "Welcome. What took you so long?" Or asked in a jesting manner. Shatar looked at Uriel and Nagad. "You wanted us to come? You are always welcome here in Salem. I knew that all the events happening around you at the gates would send you to me. I had not called you because you were exactly where I wanted you, witnessing the changes within the cosmos. But now that you are here, come with me." Nagad became excited as they moved into the Elenthial Hall. "So, you have a task for us?" "Not yet," Or answered. "With all honor, I ask you, Or, to share with us what is going on," Shatar asked. "One of the messengers informed us that an array of colorful lights were seen coming from the temple, but we do not see them. Is it all tied to you re-establishing the stones of fire?" "It would be easier for me to show you what I have been doing," Or announced as he welcomed them to the table of happenings. On command, a series of events simultaneously played above the table's surface. "What are these 6 scenes?" Shatar inquired. "They are the re-establishing of Afar and the entire cosmos." Nagad elbowed Shatar as he pointed out the scroll, trumpets, and vials within the room. "Are those the vials being filled in these scenes?" Shatar suddenly recognized the scene with the green mist, and everything clicked. "We saw several of these things taking place. Uriel saw the pendulum in the northern sector. Kohangal explained it to Nagad, though I do not fully understand it. These scenes you are watching unfolded in an order that no angelic has ever seen. The pendulum has been set as a measurement of time. Time is my way of establishing mercy over Afar. It will be bound to time until the remaining Isoavel runs its course through the cosmos. But why didn't you just order Afar back into existence as it was before the rebellion and push out the remaining Isoavel?" Nagad could not understand why Or would choose to take such elaborate steps to reestablish the cosmos. With his question, Or commanded the images to return within the table. "This is why," he motioned up the image of Pelos. "It is to be a pattern for all who seek the truth." "Who is that? And what is he?" Shatar gasped. They had never seen anything so closely resembling Or. "He is Pelos, and we have made him in our image," Or responded. "He will rule over Afar, and the Elenthial host will be welcomed to the Stone of Fire again." "There is something different about him. What is it?" Nagad had to ask after closely examining the image. "He looks as if his internal light actually flows. What you see flowing is called blood. His eternal light is carried in the blood. That is what makes him different from angelics. There will be more like him." Then the woman appeared next to Pelos. "There are 2?" Uriel asked. Or chuckled. "There are 2, and from them all others will come." The 3 princes of the Elenthial host were speechless. They stared at the image, not sure what to do next. The children enjoyed the opportunity to get to see all 6 scenes simultaneously. From one of the images, they were able to see the black pouch of Isoavel that clung to the outside of the universal sphere. They sat in the soft light wondering what was going to happen next. "I'd forgotten about that massive pouch outside of the sphere," Megan softly commented. The screen froze with Nagad and Shatar looking at Or. Rashan spoke. Remember, this enormous pouch is where Or emptied all of the Asoavel that remained in the cosmos after the fallen angelics were collected. Look closely at the design of the second age and think back to the first age. During the first age, the Asoavel was within the great unknown, outside of the universal sphere. It was being funneled around the sphere and into the enormous pouch. The final goal was to collect all of its evil. Alinthial acted as a protective barrier from the Asoavel's entrance until Pride opened the portal and allowed it into the cosmos. Well, the same pattern exists again, except now the Asoavel is contained between Alinthial and the Rakia, protecting the waves and afar from the influences of the evil. Again, Alinthial is expanding and pulling back the outer edge, while the Asoavel is being funneled around the Rakia and into the pouch as we watch the second age being established. Because we know the pattern, we know that in this age there is a portal as well. And just as during the first age, the second age entertains the Asoavel, and it will have to run its course through afar as it did through the cosmos. Staring at the pouch protruding from the sphere, Aaron realized that it was slowly growing. I see the pouch is getting bigger, but how? I don't see it going in. When the light surged through on day 1, 4 compressed areas were created. Those were black holes. Their primary job is to collect the Asoavel and pipe it into the pouch, answered Rashan. Cool, like big vacuum cleaners, Miklehi announced. Or had just pushed the image of Palos back into the table of happenings when something stirred behind Shatar, Nagad, and Uriel. Instantly, their forms were ablaze with fire as they had been during the Battle of Rebellion. We have company, Or announced. The 3 turned around to see a phantom image of Sar. Nikal imagined himself in full glory, but in reality he had no reflective power in Alinthial, so the 3 saw him for what he was. How did you enter Alinthial? We have guards posted, Shatar yelled out. I have my way, Nikal shot back. However, he was also unsure of exactly how he arrived there after entering the door. And do not forget to whom you are speaking. I am the Anointed Cherub. You were the Anointed Cherub, retorted Shatar. Nagad and Uriel both firmly placed their hand upon Shatar's shoulders. Do not act in haste. I am sure Or has a reason for him being here, assured Uriel. He looked to Or for reassurance. I brought you here, Nikal, Or said. You have no power in Alinthial. It is my aim as a testimony to the second age that you each see what lies ahead. With that said, he reached deep into the table and withdrew a carved tree with a pierced image of Nikal. The 4 spectators fell silent. Alinthial was silent at the moment. Suddenly, the scroll appeared in Or's hand. He waved his ring through the air and collected the silence. For the last time, Or pressed his ring down onto the parchment. The final seal was in place and the scroll vanished. Nikal had closely examined the scroll and recognized it as a title deed. Since when did a title deed need the seal of Or, he thought. Or then reached for the last vial. A tear fell as he dipped the vial into the image. Nikal was disgusted with what he saw. Your tears are shed in vain. This will not be my fate. And with that, Nikal stormed to the door. As he reached out for the handle, he disappeared. No, your fate is much worse, Or spoke out for the other 3 to hear. He capped the vial and securely placed it on the shelf next to the other 6. Go and tell the Alinthial host all that you have seen. Announce that the second age is underway and there is much to be done. Immediately, the 3 princes exited Alinthial Hall. They departed in different directions on their mission. As the word spread throughout Alinthial, singing could be heard rippling through the air. Or stepped out of the hall with the 7th golden trumpet in his hand. He held up the trumpet that drew in the songs of the angelics. Once the trumpet was filled, he returned it to its proper position. All was in place and complete. The screen in the theater pulled away from Or and Alinthial. It followed a white cloud as it traveled out of the Elenthial hall toward the eastern gate. At the gate's threshold, the children watched the cloud widen and thicken. The picture on the screen was now clearly being guided by Rashawn's words as the thick cloud floated into the shaft of light. Nikhil blinked and found himself back where he had been, standing before Or took him. Surrounded by Asoavel again, Nikhil felt his power return. He took a deep breath as he absorbed even more of his environment. A shadow moved into the outer edge. Where is that coming from? Nikhil looked up toward the eastern gate and saw a large cloud descending. As it passed, he sensed Or's presence. Small particles clung to the walls of the shaft as the cloud moved out of his sight. Within seconds of the cloud's departure, the particles dissipated. The boundary between the outer edge and the shaft of light was transformed into a watery partition. The thick cloud moved into the rakia. The screen in the theater pulled back so the children could fully witness what was happening. They could see the cloud spread out as it moved in multiple directions, upward toward the boundary between the outer edge and the newly formed cosmos, then sinking down through the rest of the rakia and into the waves. Once all of these areas were covered, a second, smaller screen opened with the scene of Nikhil staring at the shaft of light. The cloud engulfed afar. A cool breeze stirred the air within the theater. The children got goosebumps as it tickled their skin. Rashawn looked up from the book of Tabnithiad and closed his eyes to enjoy the breeze. Suddenly, the ground rumbled. The songs of Elenthial filled the air, and the sweet words of Or's announcement boomed. The foundation is complete for the second age. Once again, there was tranquility and rest throughout the stones of fire. The watery partition rippled from the vibrations coming up from within the cosmos. Nikhil looked down, trying to see afar, but he could not see past the thick white cloud. He moved closer to the boundary and gingerly pushed his hand into the changed partition. Surprised that he had penetrated the shaft, he jerked back. He closely examined his hand. All was well. "My power has fully returned," Nikhil exclaimed as he plunged into the shaft of light and vanished. The great unknown flashed upon the children's screen. Silence filled the theater as they watched the universal sphere make one last rotation before arriving at the end of the seared path. The end. This has been a reading of Eternity's account, Stones of Fire, written by Julie Bryson and Catherine Sharp, performed by Julie Bryson.